on the very first edition of AM Today for the month of February. Yes, today is the second day in February, and of course, the countdown is already beginning this particular time. Thank you so much once again for being a part of our world this morning, for tuning in for this particular program at this time. My name is Sahid Aribisala. As usual, AM Today is where we spotlight issues in Nigeria and take you on a journey through the national dailies to keep you abreast with situations in the country. And this morning will not be an exception. That's why we head straight to check what is happening across different parts of the country. And the dailies are going to be giving us an insight to the situation across the country this morning. And that's where we begin the program for today. The Daily Times newspaper is our first stop on the newspaper review for this morning, the second day in the month of February, and it's leading with the state of insecurity in Nigeria. Governors demand state police amid killings, kidnappings. That's on page 4 of the Daily Times. 109 billion naira fraud. I was tricked by EFCC to indict myself. That's coming from ex-AGF. The former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, has accused the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, of tricking him into admitting to stealing over 109 billion naira from public treasury. Let's see how that case would go. You also find this particular headline in the front page of the Daily Times. FCT records 2,000 cases of gender-based violence in 100 days. That's according to an official. That's huge. 2,000 cases of gender-based violence in just 100 days. And this tells you the need to find a solution or to continue to create awareness against gender-based violence, because when you remove 100 days in 2,000 cases, do the maths. How many cases in a day will that arrive at? Of course, it is the reality right there at the Federal Capital Territory, according to the records. Still in the Daily Times this morning, NDDC Executive Director in 3.6 billion naira. You also find this above the nameplates of the Daily Times. Transport owners call for policy review to stem insecurity on roads. What sort of policy could they be calling for? You find that read on page 5 of the Daily Times for this morning. You also find this in the front page of the Daily Times for today. NIMET urges collaboration on climate change adaptation. That's on page 2 of the Daily Times this morning. Let's move from the Daily Times newspaper this morning to check what you'll find when you grab a copy of the Vanguard newspaper for today, the second day in the month of February. The Vanguard is also leading this morning with the state of insecurity in Nigeria. After Ekiti, more children kidnapped in Benue. Armed herders kill 15 in Agatu. Bandits demand cough syrup, rice, 290 million naira to release 7 hostages. Abducted Ekiti pupils. School parents community launch crowdfunding for ransom. Police arrest 8 suspects, urge residents to stay calm. I was listening to the speech of Ekiti State Governor just this morning, where he was also urging for calm in some of the communities that have been affected by this wave of insecurity. You also see this just below that bold one in the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Establish state police to fight insecurity. PDP governors tell FG. You find the picture of the PDP governors also in the front page of the Vanguard this morning. You see Governor of Osrc State, Ademola Adeleke, Governor of Oyo, Seyi Makinde. And you see other Amadu Fintiri, Governor of Adamawa, Governor of Plateau State is also there. Governor of Bauchi is also there. You find Edo State Governor also in that front page picture. And the governors were on a sympathy visit to Plateau State. Understandably, following the recent security situation in Plateau State that has led to the loss of lives and property in that particular area. And now these governors are urging the federal government just find a way. Let state please come into existence. Let's see how that call will also progress in the days ahead. It's also a call coming in the mix when you have conversations around issue of restructuring in the country and all of that. Still in the Vanguard newspaper this morning, why government should remove electricity subsidy. That's coming from Power Minister. That's on page 9 of the Vanguard. Remove electricity subsidy. Figures Award. You also find this one, hardship. 7 months, not enough to fix Nigeria. And I know some Nigerians would then say, what time? Give us a time frame. How many months would then be enough to fix Nigeria? Perhaps you check that read on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper to get what the federal government is also trying to tell the citizens on the situation of things in the country. Court jails actress 6 months for spraying, stepping on new Naira notes. That's on page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper for this some other currencies across the world at this time, but still Nigeria's legal tender, and of course something to be handled with pride. Daily Trust newspaper is next on the program. Let's check Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and it's painting a picture of the economic situation in the country. Nigerians decry rising cost of living. Rise, that's the writer to that particular headline. Rice cost 70,000 naira. Flour, 44,000 naira per bag. Cement, 7,000 naira per bag. You also find this one. It's now difficult to survive in Nigeria. The LCCI, Lagos Chamber of Commerce, tame inflation, tackle insecurity. That's what the LCCI is saying this morning. Tame inflation, tackle insecurity. These things move side by side. You also want to fight insecurity. Definitely, there has to be some form of solution to the issue of the economy at this time. Ahead, Saturday's by-election. Plateau PDP protest omission on ballot. Naira gains sells for 1,400 per dollar at parallel market. Niger junta expels EU recovery mission members. That's on the back of the announcement of the withdrawal from ECOWAS. You also find this in the Daily Trust newspaper, just below the nameplate. Ekiti abduction. Our children left without food, beaten by captors. Agony of a parent at this time, or agony of parents at this time who have their children in captivity in Ekiti State. Gaza, NSCIA asks ICJ to halt genocide against Palestinians. You also find that in the front page of the Daily Trust. Of course, you also see some graphical representation of what it costs, some items, what they cost in the market at this time in the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's move quickly from the Daily Trust to check some other dailies that are out this morning, and that takes us to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Abducted school children. That's the bold one in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Parents lament IGP moves AIG to Ekiti. That's on page 27. 13 suspects arrested. We need help. Our children, wives battling with life in kidnappers' den. Parents of kidnapped pupils cry out. Benue community boys again. 15 bodies recovered. Several victims missing. That's also on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. Sadly, more on the state of insecurity. Gunmen abduct Federal Housing Authority Director in Abuja. You also find this: crude oil sales takeover by CBN illegal. That's according to Atiku. And Nigerians are paying over 200 unofficial taxes. That's according to Oyedele. And I guess that's the chairman of the Tax Reform Committee set up by the president. You also find this in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. INEC excludes PDP from Saturday rerun in Plateau. Court disqualifies PDP candidate in Ebonyi. IGP orders restriction of movement in 26 states. Don't you also forget, there will be an election, a by-election right here in Ondo State, and that's the contest for the vacant seats in Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest Federal Constituency, and that election is due to come up this Saturday. PDP governors back call for state police donate 100 million naira to victims of Plateau crisis. You find that story also in the Nigerian Tribune. The Leadership newspaper is also out, but the Leadership is taking us away from all of the issues of insecurity with its bold headline leading in the front page of the paper this morning. It's taking us to the education arena. Again, students' loan meant, yes, student loan, even though it still has so many reactions following that this particular initiative. Of course, the deadline for its commencement again not realized, and I think going by what the official is saying here in the Leadership, says expansion orders cause of delays. You also remember that the president said if you also want to learn skills, it can also be incorporated in the loan scheme. Still in the Leadership this morning, kidnappers demand food items, 290 million naira to release FCT hostages. And going by the numbers, NNPC destroys 34 illegal refineries in Niger Delta. FCT gets new police commissioner. Find that also in the front page of the Leadership this morning. Perhaps I give you a sneak into the Africa Cup of Nations going on in Cote d'Ivoire. Nigeria versus Angola. Pesero plays down favorite tag. All of a sudden, Nigeria has become the favorite to win this tournament. You remember how we started this tournament, that first game against Equatorial Guinea, and playing a draw in the first encounter of the tournament. But it appears the Super Eagles are since then successes. Newspaper. From the Punch newspaper, the front page of the Punch newspaper: abductions, 15 states enlist 50,000 vigilantes against kidnappers. Sokoto trading 2,000 men. Delta recruited 2,400. Ogun 16,000. 15 million. That's according to parents. You also find this picture where you also see the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, with this caption: Lagos Chinese firm seal rail bridge prawns troublemakers. OAUTH, over 2,000 sacked workers. That's OA banner going there. Naira rebounds as banks offload excess dollars. You find that also on page page 36 of the Punch newspaper. You see the picture of the Minister of Nation. The Nation newspaper for today, the 2nd February $25 billion. Apex Bank develops or deploys monitors in DMBs to pressure mounts on abductors of Ekiti pupils. IG deploys AIG assets, that's to Ekiti State. Kidnappers lower ransom demand. Just beside that particular headline, above the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, is the development we also had in Ondo State. That's the swearing in of the Deputy Governor yesterday. It's making the front page of the Nation this morning. I am the unifier for Edo. PDP says Ighodalo. But you find this about Ondo State with a picture of the newly sworn in Deputy Governor. That's Dr. Laide Adelami. Ondo Deputy Governor Adelami pledges to add value. That's perhaps the least the residents will be expecting. Value addition, ensuring that governance and the deliverables get to the people at this time. But it's promised, and he made that promise during the swearing-in ceremony held yesterday in Akure, state capital. You see this also in the front page of the Nation. Federal government seeks payment of 2 trillion naira debts from miners. You find that story in the Nation newspaper. The Guardian is next. The Guardian newspaper, agony of road users, over 120 extortion points, double travel time. Travelers pains in Southeast. But some would say, with all of these, points, some perhaps manned by security agencies, you still find kidnappings on some of these roads. Then, what solutions do we need? What more solutions can we find? Since checkpoints, road users are saying are turning to extortion points at this time. Perhaps just a review of all of some of this let's say policy now, actions of state actors, and of course also checking the actions of non-state actors who perhaps might just want to feed on the travelers, the innocence of the travelers who are applying these roads. You find this also in the Guardian newspaper. Pabio, bandits abduct director near military base as reports rising impact of insecurity. You also find this one. Nigerians sell their relatives as low as 30,000 naira to traffickers. NGO reviews human trafficking. You're selling relatives at this time. That's quite sad. 40 days after, worries over delay in swearing in of 11 Supreme Court justices. We find that story also in the Guardian for this morning. Let's move from the Guardian newspaper security to the Daily Sun quickly. Security operatives swoop on forex dealers in Abuja. Beat down over worsening scarcity. That's Bureau de Change. BDCs shut down over worsening scarcity. Pipeline explosion kills 5 oil thieves in Imo. You find that story also in the Daily Sun for today, the Friday edition of the Daily Sun. But a controversy in NAS over retirement age. That's in the National Assembly. Clark, others lobby for 5 years extension as unions, junior staff kick. Want to know what the current retirement should be, or what exactly is fueling that lobby, according to that report, so that controversy that has been painted in the Daily Sun. You check page 27 for that particular story. Insecurity, 5 herdsmen attack Benue community, kills cause, 15 dead bodies recovered as bandits kidnap director near military base. That's just about the headlines you find in the front page of the Daily Sun. Let's close shop on the newspaper review for this morning with a trip to the world of sports, and Sporting Sun is our destination this morning. The Sporting Sun is leading with what is the showdown that would happen later today, and that's the quarterfinals encounter at the Africa Cup of Nations. We stand 50% chance against Angola. That's according to Pesero, that's the coach of the Super Eagles, gives condition to field Nwabali from start. Yes, that's one man many Nigerians are really hoping will get to make a return to the stakes, between the stakes at that particular encounter between Nigeria and Angola. And of course, the Nigerian spirits hoping that they get that victory later today. It will be aware of Angola's threats. That's on page 6 of the Sporting Sun. You also find this: Fury intimidates Usyk with dreadful image. Injured Salah close to return. Onyeka, Osimhen expose Anguissa before Nigerians. You see that also in the Sporting Sun. But this perhaps on a lighter mood. AFCON fan in trouble after being caught asking for women's number. You want to have that story, or the gist of what exactly some of the side attractions happening in Cote d'Ivoire? You read that story right there. Real Madrid to say goodbye to Modric. You find that story also. You also find yesterday's encounter with Manchester United playing against Wolves, and that encounter ending 4-3. It was a cracker, and of course many fans of the winning team expectedly happy about how that particular encounter ended. And that's it from the world of sports and from the newspaper review segment on AM Today this morning. We'll take a break, and of course when we come back, we'll shed more light on finding solutions to the state of insecurity in Nigeria. An intelligence expert and security analyst will join me on the program. Please stay.
As we are all aware, this is also the year for our governorship election. Expectedly, political activities will gain prominence as we march towards the election. However, let me implore all political parties, aspirants, and their followers to eschew violent conduct that can threaten the peace and tranquility of our state, and ensure that they follow strictly the guidelines issued by the electoral umpire. The election should be a contest of ideas and choices, and not an opportunity to settle political scores or an excuse for calumny.
Thank you for rejoining us at Still AM today on Osrc television. And of course, if you take a survey of some kind from north to east and south to west, you find out that at this time many Nigerians aren't happy about the state of security or perhaps the state of insecurity in the country. Recently, just our neighbor state here in Ekiti State, the abduction of school pupils and of course the killing of two monarchs. We witnessed that in Ekiti just recently, and you also check through the dailies for this morning. That's how it has been for some days now. You find reports of abduction, kidnapping, killings in different parts of the country, and that's stealing our attention this morning. The state of the nation, finding solutions to insecurity in Nigeria. How can we achieve this? How can we really find solution to the state of insecurity? Perhaps what are some of the things we are not doing right or we need to really improve on as a people, as a government? Because they say it has to be the different members of society working together. This morning, I'm being joined on the program virtually, Logo, with an intelligence and security analyst, Logo Oluwamuyiwa. He joins us from Lagos. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Ribisala.
Thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Sorry, the line is broken. I can barely hear you.
So we're taking a look at the state of the nation, and finding solutions to insecurity in Nigeria is what perhaps of utmost importance at this time when you take a look at what the situation has been in the last kidnappings, abductions happening in different parts of the country. And you find some reports already say security insecurity has become endemic in Nigeria. What exactly is the state of things at this time, considering you're an intelligence and, of course, security analyst?
The present state of insecurity in Nigeria, it shouldn't be a form of surprise to any one of us. We are in a state of distress right all over Nigeria, considering the fact that I would like to say this in a state of pandemic. The country is really grappling in insecurity, kidnapping issues, insurgencies, violent crime, and this is happening nearly around every corner, in revolving from trust and abuse against civilian, the security forces, and all the economical issues coupled together to define the reason for the present state of Nigerian situation.
So would you say, because many Nigerians who are commenting about this particular state of insecurity in the country are bothered. They say it appears there is a resurgence in what it used to be in times past. Perhaps there was a time when all of these issues
has really gone to the lower. Pointing back, let's say from
costs too at this particular we're in the month of
the high cost of living. A lot of things are being compounded because kidnapping incidents are happening. What do they ask for? Ransom. And if in the situation whereby economy is this bad, every citizen, every individual, vulnerable ones, let me say, to one way or the other involved in insecurity act to survive or to express their distress, to express their display, like
to find this kidnapped victim at this time.
And this self-view trust among deep into us. So we just need to be a little bit patient and um, all these